Hello, thanks for coming back to my channel. And that must mean you're a subscriber, or you just clicked on my face. If you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe, so next time you don't have to choose videos based on my face. This is my speaking voice, ha ha ha. Anyway, so, yeah, grab some popcorn, strap in, because I have a film I really want to talk about. Most of the time I make videos, and I don't really get disappointed when people don't watch them. This is the one video I would love for people to actually watch. So, for multiple reasons, let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about Unseen. Yes, I realize the irony in me, John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, a blind film critic watching a movie called Unseen. You're right, it was unseen. So, congratulations on that. This movie is also on MGM Plus, which means it does not have audio description. We've made a movie with a blind lead character, and we can't make it accessible to the blind audience. But then again, we're going to talk about what this really means for this character, who's referred to as essentially blind in even the plot summary. So, yeah. Spoilers, because I don't really care. So, and I need to talk about this film. So, if you can pick up on the general tone in my voice, this is not going to go well for Unseen. So, if you want to bow out before the spoilers, this is not going to go well. I feel so. I did not go into this film thinking, oh, I'm going to bash this film. I have people. If you are able to see all the YouTube channels I subscribe to, you would see that I subscribe to a lot of other YouTube critics. A lot of them have really low like lots, very few subscribers. And some of them were like, oh my God, Unseen is so good. It's so good. And I had this sort of like in the back of my memory. I was like, if I see Unseen somewhere, then I'll watch it. I don't really, you know. Nope. They were wrong. This movie is terrible. This movie is problematic. But this movie is so bad that normally I have to acknowledge the fact that technically, for my blind and visually impaired community, this film is unwatchable. However, it's also so bad that I'm able to grade it, because even adding audio description to this film is not going to change this film in a way where I would go, oh, I get it now. A plus. Great filmmaking. No, there are so many problems with this film that I can't be bothered. If the director of Unseen sent me this with audio description personally on like a DVD and was like, here's the audio description, I wouldn't watch it. I literally can't do this again. This movie was just it's, oh my God. And I feel like they took absolutely no thought into, we have a blind character. What would that be like? Do they have a blind consultant? Do they have even a visually impaired consultant? Not somebody who just wears glasses, but somebody who's actually visually impaired. Is there like an eye doctor on set? Did anybody think through a lot of these things? Because I am. And let me tell you, this character of Emily, she's superhuman in so many ways, and also stupid, but superhuman and stupid. So the film centers around Emily, who is she's kidnapped. We don't really know why. The film doesn't really tell us. It doesn't really care. It's just, it just, there is no real setup to this film. Do you remember how in Get Out, like it takes us, like there is that first nabbing sequence. It's sort of like before the credits, so it gives you the ominous feel of like something mysterious is going on with this film. And then we meet Chris, and then we establish Chris as a character, and we get to see him on his journey, and Get Out becomes a great movie. This does none of that. This, like, Emily wakes up and she's been kidnapped, and she doesn't know where she is, and she hears her boyfriend's voice, Charlie, who Charlie is, I don't know, one of the worst actors working in Hollywood. It's his performance is so over the top, and he has these such wild, like changes of tune. He feels like he's 10 different characters rolled into one. Um, and she's tied up or zip tied or something. There, she's wearing zip ties later. So I'm gonna say zip tied, but she might also be tied up. I don't know. There's no audio description. In somewhere in a cabin in the woods. She doesn't even know where. She was drugged, and we didn't get to see the drugging. There's nothing. There's no establishment of these characters. She's just like, oh my god, cabin, Charlie, why did you do this to me? I'm like, oh, I don't even care. I don't even. Are you the main character? Are you gonna die? Is there gonna be another character after you? Is Charlie killing off women? Is he a women killer? Is this Kiss the Girls? What are we doing here? I have no idea. So, she can't see because we learned that she can't see because she doesn't have glasses on. She's also a doctor. I find this a little bit problematic because this girl is like full on legally blind without glasses, and she's a doctor, which kind of blows my mind. Because like, should anything happen with her glasses, get them smudged a little bit, just fall off during surgery, whatever. This girl literally cannot see her hand in front of her face. For me, in my blindness, I consider myself to be blind, full blind, because I have essentially like little holes of light. So I have these little things. So I'm at like hand movement. And there's a reason why I say that, because after you go off of the eye chart, when you no longer can wear glasses to enhance your vision, you start dipping into counting fingers, and then hand movement, light perception, and then nothing. So because I can see when something moves across my face, because I have these little holes, and I have enough clarity to be able to go, ooh, there was something there. I have like a little hole like off to the left over there, and I have something. So I can put my hand in front of my face and move it, and I can see that something moved, and she can't. So I'm like, how, what is this? What is this character's level of blindness? Because she shouldn't be able to wear glasses and then not also be able to see her hand in front of her face. That bothers me. It bothers me deeply, based on where I am and all of the stuff that I have, and I have these little pinholes from losing all my vision to glaucoma that are hanging on, and I take eye drops so that I don't lose this little thing that's like off to the left over here, and this little thing that's like over here. Like, we're trying to keep these little holes of vision that I can't use them for anything except to like not walk into a door. That's about it. Or see my hand moving from my face. So she explicitly tells someone later on that she cannot see her hand in front of her face. I'm like, why? So, okay, so this girl is that level of blind. She's not using she has no accessibility features turned on her phone. So she can't call anybody. She doesn't know, she doesn't even know how to turn on. She could toggle it on and off. You don't have to keep it on all the time. If you're somebody who uses your glasses most of the time, you could have it. You can turn your narrator on and off, your screen reader. This has been a great opportunity to show accessibility features to the main audience. They don't do that. They choose not to have her use any. She has nothing on her phone, so she can't. So she happens to randomly hit this phone number that had called her, which leads us to Sam. I should say she manages to escape the cabin. Otherwise, this movie would be incredibly boring. She does manage to somehow sneak past I don't know, because I didn't have audio description, but she manages to, I don't know, hit him over the head, or I don't know, Krav Maga him into submission for a minute, and she leaves, and somehow manages to find her phone, which is amazing. And I think she gets her glasses for like 2 seconds and then like loses them. So she has her glasses long enough so she can find the phone. And then the phone was like, no, you don't get these anymore. We can't have you having glasses, otherwise we wouldn't have a film. So, so she's running through the woods and she's trying to call 911, and 911 is like, could be up to an hour. Well, this film ran for an hour and 18 minutes. 911 was slow as shit. So let's just say that 911 is not helpful. This 911 person is like, is there a place? It's like, no, bitch, I'm in the woods. I'm in the woods and I can't see. I don't know where to hide. Like, I literally, and I feel that, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody, drugged me and suddenly I woke up in a cabin and I didn't know where I was in the middle of the woods, I would feel incredibly trepidatious. But if I also had my phone, it would have all of the all of the various stuff turned on so that I could actually use my phone. And I would be my eyes my way out of there. I wouldn't call some random person and be like, hey, can you FaceTime me? I'm in the woods. I know we've never met before, but you're all I could call because I'm blind, but nobody told me about the blind features on my phone. And I don't know what, like, stuff like Be My Eyes is. So I don't, like, oh my god, this would have been an amazing promotional tool for Be My Eyes. This whole film should have been bought out by Be My Eyes. Replace Sam with something, like, instead of it being like a random FaceTime call, make Sam like literally a Be My Eyes volunteer who gets this phone call and who's like, oh my god, a blind person needs me. Oh shit. Like, what the fuck? She's in the woods. What am I thought I was gonna be reading her the directions to how to cook this frozen thing in the microwave. No. So, yeah, this is this whole film, I was just like, they didn't even try. I feel like nobody tried. Nobody actually thought about what it was to be blind. Nobody was like, I don't understand. They do like a film version of being blind. I was thinking to myself, and to be fair, I don't know that she's not doing this, but she has like her earbuds and she has her phone. So I don't know that that her other hand isn't just like walking out in front of her face. But I was thinking to myself, I would try to find a stick and use that as like a walking stick. I mean, wouldn't you? That would be kind of what I would do if I was lost in the woods and I needed to get away quickly, because I don't want to trip over a log. I can't just start running because I'm in the forest. I don't want to run into a tree. I also don't want to run off of a cliff. So I need something in front of me to tell me that there is ground in front of me. So I would be, trying to find something to do that is not my hand in front of my face. And of course, problematically, I think about, how would you do that? You'd maybe barefoot so that you could, I had all these questions in my head. I was like, what would I do if I was in this scenario? And a lot of the questions came back to the fact that this girl knows she can't see and has no accessibility features turned on her phone, which bothers me. So when she calls Sam, who is also not an established character, by the way. I mean, we meet Sam as she's showing up to work. No backstory. I have no idea where she lives. Does she have a family, kids, husband, dog, cat, friends? I don't know. What's her socioeconomic status? Does she live in a car? Does she live in a trailer? Does she live in an apartment? I know nothing about her. Does she have a plant? Nothing. I know nothing about Sam. She shows up at work and she has, again, one of the worst actors in the fucking world plays this overly for no reason because we don't see him again. She has this boss that is way over the top in terms of being like dislikable. He's the level of dislikable that usually you are in a horror movie when someone is going to kill you off. And because this is a horror film, I was like, this guy's gonna... So we're going to come back around to this character and he's going to get killed off. No, he's just an asshole at the beginning of the film for no particular reason whatsoever. not so that he can be killed off. Nothing happens. He just leaves. He's just an asshole in a horror movie who just leaves. So that's an experience. So Sam starts her shift, and she's going about her merry life, and she is basically inundated with a Karen, who is actually called Carol in the film. I didn't know that her character had a name. I didn't really care. I had a feeling that this character was going to be a fucking problem. But I also thought she was just maybe like a statement. Like maybe the director just had met people like this and was like, I'm going to put a Karen into this movie. This Karen is way over the top. This Karen pumps the wrong gas and then demands a refund for the gas. And Sam is like, in one of the movie's only best moments is like, you want a refund for the gas that's in the tank of your car? And, because she's like, it's a Mercedes, and I couldn't read your signs, so it needs a minimum of 91, and it has 87 in it. Well, I don't know what's gonna happen then if it needs a minimum of 91. I guess your car is gonna explode. I don't know. I mean, like I'm just like, what? Sam gives in and just gets the bitch out of there and is like, hey, I'm all right, I'll give you a refund. However, for some reason, this girl is really dumb. This Karen is, and leaves her credit card behind so she can show back up later, because that's what we need, is more of this entitled bitch. And this entitled bitch is Sam's nightmare for the rest of the film. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. This girl is way over the top for the remainder of the film. But Sam does eventually get the phone call, and she's like, my battery's low. Yeah, I'll help. I want to help. I butt dialed, or something. She's like, I think you called me because I randomly called this phone number. There's no real there's no real reason given for that. Just happens. I just do that sometimes too. I just randomly put in numbers. Now, I want you to know, Sam is in Florida. Emily's in Michigan. Not even the same area codes. Not even remotely the same area codes. Generally, the area codes around you too, because you see them popping into your phone a lot. And Sam makes it a point to say that before she lived in Tallahassee, which is where she lives now, she lived in Jacksonville. So she's fairly familiar with Florida, and she knows what Florida area codes are. I don't know how the fuck she called Michigan accidentally. Like, I accidentally called Michigan. And later on, at the very end of the film, spoiler alert, when Emily asks her, she's like, who are you trying to call? She's like, I think I was trying to order a pizza. I'm like, oh my God. Oh. Girl, there are apps for this. Like, DoorDash that pizza. What? This whole film hinges on the fact that nobody knows how to use their phones. Nobody has any idea. This girl obviously has a phone that is capable of FaceTime, right? It's capable of doing a video call. You're telling me she doesn't have a food ordering app on there? What? And she's just randomly calling phone numbers, hoping that it's a pizza place. I can't. I literally cannot with this film. So the rest of the movie just becomes Sam trying, like, Emily's holding up the phone and Sam is trying to navigate her, which sounds like a really cool concept. It's also profoundly stupid. It's really stupid because you're limited to what Emily thinks is important, and Sam is not. It's like, because the film couldn't be bothered to do any sort of character development at the beginning of the film, all of the character development has to come from, like, conversation that they feel like they need to have while Emily is literally being chased by her crazy ex who might murder her. Like, and they're like, so what's up with you? So that's when they do the character building, is when Sam is trying to navigate her, and she thinks she's got her, like, on kind of like a straight path, right? She's got Emily, like, kind of pointed in the right direction. She's like, turn left and walk straight. Okay, so tell me more about you. It's just like, what is this movie? Yeah, and of course, uh, this is not what she does professionally for a living, which is fine. Um, it would have been hard for Be My Eyes person to do the same thing. For those of you who don't know what Be My Eyes is, who have made it this far into my video and are sighted, it's an app that we have where if we need help with something, there's a network of volunteers. It's a free app and a free service. There's a network of volunteers that sign up that say, I will accept a video call. We have certain rules to abide by on our end, too. Like, we're not supposed to just accidentally FaceTime ourselves, or I'm naked, what do you think? Like, it's not supposed to, like, that can get us kicked out of the service. So, but it's blind people who need help with, I don't know, anything. I've heard people say all sorts of random stories about why they do it. There was somebody who was trying to pick out pictures of somebody who had recently died in their family one time, and they couldn't see the pictures, but they needed the pictures for something, and they knew the pictures existed, and they were trying to, and so the person on Be My Eyes sat there and helped them go through the pictures and describe what the pictures were so that they could find the right pictures for, I think, like, it was like a funeral, like somebody died and they were trying to find some pictures. Anyway, so the service can be used for a lot of different things. And it's just, the thing is, it's still random volunteers, so you would still get a character like Sam. You wouldn't get somebody who's like professionally amazing at narrating. I used it before, and yeah, it's just random people. So they could have just made this and shown a legitimately blind character. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's legally blind who needed these kind of things, who needed to use the narration on their phone, who needed that screen reader technology to be able to get to certain things. That would have been so much more interesting than having this girl who knows she's blind, but also has no accessibility features turned on her phone, but is smart enough to be a doctor. Now, you can toggle it on and off. So even if she has her glasses on and she doesn't want a screen reader because she's some sort of wizard and can see with her glasses, but never without them. Then, yeah. Anyway, eventually these characters get into some really dumb shit. They find, so they're out in the woods and Charlie decides he's going to drive around. I don't conceptually understand that, but he's driving his car around looking for her. Apparently she got far enough away that he requires getting into a car. So he's out there looking for her. And so when he walks away from his car, Emily, who can't see, thinks, it would be a great idea if I drove this car. I can't see, and I'm holding a phone up. I'm sure Sam is capable of this. And she's like, Sam, you've gotten me this far. You've gotten me this far. I know you can do this. We have to get out of here. I can't outrun him. You're going to have to drive this car over FaceTime. Okay. Oh, all right. Sure. Luckily, this whole thing, the only thing this really gets used for is Emily sits in the car and the boyfriend is coming back. Charlie is coming back, and she waits until he's directly in front of the car and somehow starts up the car and then runs him over in a matter of seconds because the car is not running. And I didn't conceptually understand this because this is where directorially I hate this director. This director, when something crazy is about to happen, suddenly drops like a heavy metal score in for no apparent reason whatsoever. So like you can't even really tell what's coming in. So she's just sitting in the car and Sam's like, oh, he's coming. Emily's like, let me know when he's right in front of the car. And then you're just like, and it's like, what? Oh my God, just happened. And I was like, is that, it's not the music that was playing either. It's not like she turned on the radio because we heard the music. It was, he's literally running around playing a version of her singing Walking After Midnight, which he keeps trying to get her to sing because they used to be happy. there's a video that he has of them being happy where Charlie's like, I know I used too much tarragon. I'm so sorry. And I was like, because they're unestablished as a character. I was like, anybody who's worried about using too much tarragon, I want to know the story of how they got to this point. Because I need to make sure that it is him and that the twist isn't at the end that Emily, like, killed their kids or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's so, like, the one image we get of Charlie and Emily's life before this, because neither of them are established, is this really overly happy moment where they're like, oh my god, the tarragon. Oh, we get to talk about tarragon. We're that kind of couple. Tarragon. And then later on, he's like, I made this. I think I got the tarragon amount right. It's like, what is up with tarragon? What are you even making? Yeah, but it's the lack of establishment of characters. So there was a moment, and it's not that I'm into victim blaming, but there was a moment where it's because it's a horror movie, and I don't want it to be a twist. All of this is important because after she uses the car to hit him, which Sam is like, I don't know, somewhat opposed to, like, not vehemently. The car gets stuck and she can't use the car anymore. Damn. I really wanted to see what would happen with a blind person driving while on FaceTime. I just, in the woods. She would have to drive out of the woods and not hit a tree. I didn't even know if this was day or night at this point, by the way. Conceptually. So Sam helps her out of the car and she finds a glass shard. And Emily's like, what am I going to do? I need to make sure he's dead. And so she goes, and I'm like, okay, well, this is the moment in the horror movie where obviously the killer's not dead, because we're not near the end of the film and it hasn't even been an hour yet. But he's kind of down and out. He's out for the count. She's got a glass shard in her hand. She has every opportunity to kill this man who's not a superhuman killer. This is not Freddy. It's not Jason. Not Michael Myers. There's no reason to believe that if she doesn't stick her hand down there and that she's a doctor, that she can't hit the right blood vessels to cause Charlie to bleed out so she doesn't have to worry about him anymore. But Sam is able to talk her out of this moment because obviously the film needs Charlie. Otherwise, what else are we doing here? And I'm still thinking Emily still has to get out of the woods. Like, she still has no idea where she is. With or without Charlie, she has no idea where she is. So, and there's so many things here that if she had, I should mention the fact that she has location services turned off, which is one of the reasons why 911 said it'd take an hour because they have to contact a carrier. Girl, if you had your stuff, you'd be able to turn it back on without your glasses. I mean, there's so many things that are predicated on the fact that this girl doesn't, like, she's a doctor who should understand what blindness is, but does not accept the fact that there might be a time where she doesn't have her glasses on and needs to be able to use this stuff. And she can just have it passively running in the background without using it. She can have it toggled off, and then she can toggle it back on just by pushing the buttons on the phone. It's really that easy. But she doesn't do any of that. So she's the world's worst blind person, because the whole film is reliant upon her not being able to function that way. Meanwhile, Sam gets a return visit from Karen, who left her credit card, and Sam, I don't know, some shit happened, and she somehow broke the charger off into her phone permanently, so now she can't charge the phone or something, and her phone battery is dying, so she needs to find a new phone fast. So she decides to mug this Karen and steal her phone, and block her out of the store. Turns out Karen's like a survivalist or something. She goes from being this hoity, kind of like rich bitch who has like a gold Amex, and like she claims her phone case is 24 karat gold. She's and then she's a completely different character. Her, like, literally her voice lowers. Like, she turns into, you know, she's like, oh, I'm letting my hair down now. You gonna give me my phone. It's like, what? What? So it's a bizarre performance from Missy Pyle. Anyway, and then she calls her husband, and it becomes this whole thing, and they keep trying to break in, and of course they eventually do, and they have guns. I think luckily Sam is in one of these places where she's protected even more. Like, you can go into the gas station and you can buy things, and all you have is that little, like, thing to be able to slide things back and forth, but you're protected in case a robber comes in by this glass, because it seems like they can't get to her. So there's something about that anyway. And she's dealing with that while she's also trying to help Emily, because obviously, guess what happened? Charlie got up. Uh, you know, duh. And right while Sam's being attacked, Emily accidentally falls off of a hill. So she's injured. And they're trying to find the phone, and there's just all sorts of things. Eventually, everybody gets their shit together. They get Emily into a barn. They get Sam. I don't know how it happens. There's some sort of fight between her and Karen and Mr. Karen that happens. But it's one of those things where it's just sort of like a lot of loud noise. It kind of sounded like somebody threw a Wolverine in there. And it's just like a lot of like, it's like, what? Nobody in this film can act except Sam and Emily are the better actors in the film. But even them, I don't need to see them again. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if they'd be fine if they were like on the CW. I'd be fine with that. Like, if they floated into a CW series, I'd be like, that feels appropriate. I actually have lost all faith in Missy Pyle as an actor, and I don't ever need to see her in anything again. And she's the most recognizable name in this cast. So, bye, Missy. Yeah, this film is awful at every step of the way, and it's actually borderline offensive because the director, the writer, the producer took absolutely nothing into account about how a blind person might actually function in this situation. They just assumed they would hit random things until they FaceTime somebody, and then they would try to FaceTime their way out of the woods. Sort of, I guess. That's your plot concept, sure. And I don't want to speak for all blind people, because I think some blind people would probably have a different way. I think there are probably blind people who live in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Like, they live rurally, so they can navigate a lot better. They navigate by the smells and the trees, and they've trained themselves to be able to function well in the woods. So if you kidnap them and put them in the woods, they'd probably be a lot better off, and they wouldn't need to FaceTime somebody. I love also that she's out in the middle of nowhere and she gets cell phone reception. That's another thing. That would indicate to me I'm not that far from civilization. I'm not really into the woods. I'm just off the beaten path. You know? It's a little bit further away than usual. Because if she was in the middle of nowhere, cell phone reception would be a problem. So yeah, there's a lot that's wrong with this film, perpetually wrong with this film. The film ends with the prospect of happiness too, because I guess Charlie dies somehow. I don't know. She kills Charlie. I don't really care. I don't know if anybody cares. But yeah, we've gone this far together, so I'll tell you it. Yeah, Emily lives, Sam lives, and they become friends. And then later on in the film, they're FaceTiming after all this has happened, and they're talking about. Sam's like, "I'm thinking about going back to school," and Emily's like, "Oh my god!" And then we find out like Emily and her mother are packing, perhaps to come see Sam. You know, I hated this movie. I hated this movie with a raging passion, with a raging fire, with all the force of a great typhoon. With all the strength. I started to do the lyrics from Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. Yeah, it's not only does it not have audio description and have a blind lead, which baffles me. I know MGM Plus, one of the reasons I reviewed this film was because I'm trying to get MGM Plus to realize you need to be accessible to your audience. I'm your audience now. I subscribe and pay you, and you have no accessibility, and now I'm watching shit like this. But on the other end of this, I'm like, this film should travel with audio description regardless of whether or not the service supports audio description. Because if you're going to use the blind community as your lead character and put us into situations, I feel like the bare minimum you could do is give us audio description. And also, you should have had somebody on your team, like, who was blind or incredibly low vision, who was helping you figure out what this character would probably be doing. And I cannot imagine that there is somebody who was an advisor on this film about what it's like for low vision individuals, who was like, yeah, it totally makes sense that this girl has no idea how to use any of the accessibility features on her phone, but managed to graduate medical school. You know? I mean, obviously this girl can think for herself. She's not just, I don't know, some airhead working, somewhere. I don't want to insult any one job, but wherever. She's not some Instagram model or something. I don't know. She knows how to use it. She should know how to use the accessibility features on her phone. At least magnify. Jesus Christ. Just something on your phone. So yeah. Lots of options for her. None of them are explored. This film would have been an amazing partnership for Be My Eyes if it had been better. Like the Be My Eyes movie would have been just like, I mean, raise awareness of the fact that the app is there. I don't know, something. But instead I got this film and I hate it. I hate it with a raging passion. And I hate it so much. If you guys watch my reviews, if you made it this far, God love you. If you watch my reviews, you've heard me refer a couple times when a film gets kind of shitty to Marmaduke. And I ask myself the question, is it Marmaduke? Because I really hated the Netflix animated film with like the lifeblood, the blood that flows through my veins. This one passes that test. I hate Unseen with all of that passion. Even though it has no audio description, there is no redeeming this film for me. This film has no redemption, no redeemable qualities. I think it's poorly directed. It's poorly written. It's mostly terribly acted, and even the acting that is there is not great. It's passable. It doesn't make any sense. It makes terrible choices. It's not scary. There was nothing about this. It's listed as a horror film. There aren't even that many characters in the film, so unless Charlie's head explodes, I don't know how we got horror out of this. It's at best a thriller. It should not be labeled a horror movie. There's nothing, unless I'm missing something, and there's just, Emily just keeps walking past chopped up dead bodies casually in the woods, and just nobody's bringing it up to her. Sam's like, oh my god. There's like bodies hanging from all these trees, and she's like, I'm not gonna tell Emily. I can't tell her. This is so scary and creepy. Unless that happens, I don't know. But there was nothing that was like, oh, this qualifies as horror. Yeah, it's awful. So I'm gonna give Unseen an F. Yeah. What's up with that, guys? So, I don't know if it's entirely because I'm offended, if it's entirely because the film is terrible, if it's entirely because this film doesn't have audio description, it has the audacity to not have audio description. I think it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the experience that I had. And the sad thing is, it's an hour and 18 minutes. It didn't waste my time. It should be something where I should come on here and be like, guys, this was great. This was fast. It was fast paced. It was an hour and 18 minutes. Solid film, great concept. All of that I feel like fell apart. I feel like they didn't use any of it. It's like somebody had a really good pitch, but then nobody knew what to do with it. Like they were like, oh, well, what if we did this? And then this is the end result. And the amount of just uh, poor decisions that had to be made to get from pitch stage to final product is actually, it's quite a lot. So I don't even like the score to the film. There's really no score. There's just aggressive metal music during certain sequences, which kind of drown out the activity, so you can't really tell what's happening. So I don't really, that's not a score. You know, a score helps enhance uh, tense moments. There isn't a score to that. There's just suddenly there's a metal song and then there's not. And then we walk through the woods. And then there's a metal song and then there's not. You know, it's just, it's very weird. Um, I cannot unrecommend this movie enough, which is why this review is long as shit. I slept on this. I've been thinking about it for ever since I've seen it. It won't leave my eyes. It won't leave my face. It won't leave my body and my soul. It has just, it has consumed me, and I needed to get all of this out. So please don't watch this movie. As I'm asking you as a blind person to not watch this movie. There we go. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please subscribe so I can continue to talk about films with audio description. And apparently now I also have to talk about how blind people are depicted in films and what that's like, and why maybe either use a blind actress, have a blind consultant, something. Because holy shit. Yeah. So I guess I now have another task that I have to complete on my channel. But definitely audio description is the main reason I'm here. I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who is working on the narration for your favorite films and television series. That's it. I will review something else that must be better than Unseen. This is the first F I've given this year. First F of 2023. Wow. There you go. And I will see you guys on the other side.